Okay, so this is week 8, and we're going to work with the enrollment data set that we're familiar with. We're going to do inferences from 2 related samples and a one-way ANOVA. And so I'm going to show you how to do the first, I'm going to show you how to do all of them, but I'm going to use different variables. Okay. So SPSS enrollment data set, I'm going to use the one that has the value labels already in it. I think I may have recoded this one slightly differently than it was before, but it doesn't matter. I don't really care how they're coded, just as long as you explain it. Okay, so the first assignment says, test the hypothesis that there is no difference between the writing 1 and writing 2 scores. Report the results with effect size in APA. Well, I'm not going to do the answer for you, so I'm going to do writing 2 and writing average to see if there's a difference. It doesn't really matter. I just want to show you how to complete the action. So we go to compare means, we slide across the means, and we come down to what's called paired samples T-test, just like I show you in the PowerPoint. So I'm going to do, let's do writing 2, bring it over, writing average, I bring it over, and that's all I have to do here. I hit OK, and you can see that in writing 2 we had a 79, and in writing average we had a 72. We can see here that we have a mean difference of 7. Our confidence interval does not span 0, which I believe I talk about in the PowerPoint video. We have a huge t statistic of 29.7 and a p-value of 0.000. So what I would do is I would go ahead and copy these. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to hit this one, highlight that one. I'm going to hit Control, and I'm not going to do the correlations. If you do it, that's fine. I don't care, but we don't need them, so I'm not going to paste them in. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to paste these in. It goes off the end of the document, so I'm going to go to Layout. I'm going to go to Orientation, and I'm going to say Landscape, so I can get everything on here. You make this guy just a little smaller so we can see everything. Okay, so then what I want to do is I want to report these results in APA. So T, lowercase, we have our degrees of freedom over here is 391. 391 is equal to 29.7, comma, P less than 0.001. I usually do a semicolon on if it's a semicolon or a comma. Cohen's E equals. And this is easy. We just pull up our calculator. And we have the mean difference, which is 7.1 divided by these standard deviations, the average of these 2 standard deviations. Let's see if I can do that. 5.4. Okay, so now we want to calculate our Cohen's D. So I'm going to pull up my calculator. And the way I do that is I look at the mean difference divided by the average of these 2. So 7.1 divided by, I can just do this in my head, 5.5 and 5.3 is 10.8. So half of that is 5.4. And I get 1.3. So 1.3, there is a significant okay. So I have T of 391 degrees of freedom is equal to 27.9, P less than 0.001, Cohen's D is 1.3. There is a significant difference between the 2 scores with a large effect size. Let's do English 1 and 2. I'm just going to do this briefly because it's just the same thing over and over again. Alright, so I'm going to do compare means, come across to paired samples t-test. I'm just going to hit reset. Now I'm going to do English 2 because I don't want to give you the answer, and English Av, and I just say OK. And here we have no significance because those guys are the same, essentially, 82.3 and 82.5. We have a mean difference of negative 2.235. Our confidence interval does span 0. It's not significant. The p is not low. And it's interesting that we have different degrees of freedom. I guess more people took the English test than took the writing test. So same thing here. I'll hit Control. I'll hit Control. I'll hit Control. Copy. I go into my document, and I say paste. And then I would just copy this and switch up the numbers. I'm not even gonna do that because you guys can do that. It does do these annoying auto number things for you, so let's not worry about that. Okay, now it says, is there a difference in writing 1 score by how commute? Is there a difference in English 1 score by smoking? And is there a difference in Math 1 score by state? I actually don't think I have state coded. So let's just look really quick. We have blanks, 1s, and 2s. Let me fix that. I was gonna pause it and not show you how to fix it, but I think I will show you how to fix it. You don't have to worry about it. I'll do it for you. I'll post this one with the labels and everything in it. So what I would do is I'm gonna sort ascending. So what it does is it puts all the blanks together and gives me all the 1s, which we have a lot of 1s, and then all the 2s. So we're gonna have unequal sample sizes, and that's okay. So one of the things I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit 1. I'm gonna go back and do Control Copy, and then I'm just gonna drag all the way down here and hit Control Paste. All right, I'm gonna save that. It's called answer key because I've got everything labeled. All right, so now I have state, and let's do 0 is equal to Louisiana, if I could spell it. 1, since we have the most there, is equal to Texas. And let's say 2 is equal to Oklahoma. Okay, just totally random, doesn't matter. All right, so now that I have everything labeled, I'm going to go to Analyze, Compare Means, down to one-way ANOVA. Let me reset. I've got writing 2 by how commute. And so now I want to know post hoc test, where the difference lies if there is indeed a difference. I'm going to say continue. I'm going to come to options, and I'm going to ask for descriptives, homogeneity tests, and a means plot. And that's all I have to do. I'm going to say OK. Came up on the other screen because I restarted it. Okay, so I have a lot of output here. I have descriptives. I have my Levine's test. I have my ANOVA source table. I have my post hoc test, and I have my means plot. Okay, but if I look at the means, I can see the ends are quite different. Most people ride the bus, but the average on this writing test is pretty comparable across the 4 levels of how commute. The first assumption we check is whether or not we have equal variances, and if the p is low, then we don't, but the p is not low, so we do have equal variances, so we meet that assumption. Then we look at the source table and we see that this F statistic is almost 1, and we have no significance here. So there is no difference among the 4 modalities of commuting on the writing 2 test. And again, if we look at the multiple comparisons, we can see there's no significant difference between walk and bike, walk and bus, walk and car, etc. And even though the means plot looks a little odd, it's no significant difference there. Okay, so I pasted the output into my document. Let me just tab this down a little bit so we can see most of it on one page. All right, I've got my descriptives, I've got my homogeneity of variances, I've got my ANOVA, I've got my post hoc test and my everything. Okay, so I want to be right here, I think, so I can see all the data I need to see. And I'm going to cheat and go to, here we go. I'm going to go to the PowerPoint and I'm going to copy this, Control C, and I'm going to paste it here. And I'm going to doctor it up to what I want. So we're not talking about teaching method and reading achievement anymore, but we are saying there are no significant differences on the writing 2 score by level of how commute, or the levels of how commute. Okay, and we have to look at our new degrees of freedom here. So we're looking at 3 to 24 because there were 4 groups, so now we have 3 degrees of freedom, 224. That's for whom we have complete data. Our F statistic is 1.14. P is less than, no it's not, P is equal to 0.33. And then our eta squared we gotta get, and that's easy. We just divide between groups divided by total. Pull up my calculator. Between groups is 105 divided by 7026. 7026. Not too picky about the decimal place. Is 0.015 is equal to 0.0. Well, I already have the 0.015. So 1.5% of the variance in, I mean, it doesn't make sense to do it when we don't have significance, but we're going to do it anyway, of the variance in writing score can be determined by how commute, or something like that. At least a significant post hoc test was conducted and it was determined that there is no significant difference. There are no significant differences among the levels of how commute. Okay, now let's just do one more just to give you guys another sense of, or another example. So by smoking or by state? Let's do it by state. Math 1, so we'll look at Math 2 by state. All right, so go back here. We're going to just go to this recall dialog box. Everything's loaded. I'm going to go Math 2 by state. Okay, everything's done. That's checked. These are checked. So I just say okay. And I think I slice and dice this as many ways as I can, and I can't come up with significance, but because we have 70, 69, 68. All right, but you would do it the same way. Copy all of these, Control Shift, Control Copy, go to my document, it's at the bottom, hit paste, and then, see, it does all this auto-populating of numbers. You can figure that out after. I would go back to my write-up and maybe change this to a different color so I can see that when I'm grading your homework. And go to my source table, delete this garbage. Okay. Paste this in, and then just type in the new values. So this is now 2 of 432. We have a lot more information for these tests. We have an F statistic, just shift this down so you can see it, F statistic of almost 0, not big at all. So we don't have significance. 2 of 432. We would divide 50 divided by this large sum of squares here. and get our eta squared and report it out. Okay.